ABG Shipyard was one of India's largest shipbuilding companies, founded in 1985 by Rishi Agarwal and his family. The company was headquartered in Mumbai and had shipyards in Gujarat and Odisha. The company specialized in building and repairing ships, offshore vessels, and oil rigs. In 2016, the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, India's premier investigating agency, launched an investigation into ABG Shipyard, following a complaint from the State Bank of India, SBI. The SBI had alleged that the company had committed financial irregularities and had defaulted on loans availed from a consortium of banks led by ICICI Bank. The CBI found that the company had fraudulently availed of loans from the consortium of banks, by submitting false and misleading financial statements. The company had inflated the value of its assets, including its ships and offshore vessels, to avail of higher loans from the banks. The CBI also found that the promoters and executives of ABG Shipyard had diverted the funds obtained from the loans for personal use. The funds were used to buy properties, luxury cars, and other personal assets. The CBI filed a case against the company's promoters and executives, including Rishi Agarwal, for cheating, criminal conspiracy, and corruption. The CBI alleged that the accused had defrauded the banks of over Rs. 2,000 crore. The case also revealed that the banks had overlooked the red flags in the company's financial statements and had sanctioned loans without proper due diligence. The banks had failed to conduct proper audits and had relied on the company's financial statements, which were found to be fraudulent. In 2017, ABG Shipyard was declared bankrupt, and its assets were sold to other companies. The case highlights the need for stricter regulations and oversight of the banking sector, to prevent similar frauds in the future. The ABG Shipyard scam is considered to be one of the biggest financial frauds in India's banking sector. The ABG Shipyard scam is a classic example of the lack of proper checks and balances in India's banking sector. The case has exposed the vulnerabilities in the banking system and the need for stricter regulations and oversight. The scam had a ripple effect on the banking sector, as several banks had extended loans to ABG Shipyard, based on the company's inflated asset values. The scam had resulted in a huge loss to the banks, which had to write off the loans as non-performing assets. The case had also eroded the confidence of investors in the banking sector, leading to a drop in the stock prices of several banks. The case highlights the importance of corporate governance and the need for transparency in the operations of companies. The company's promoters and executives had used fraudulent means to avail loans and had misused the funds for personal gain. The case emphasizes the need for strict punishment for corporate frauds and white-collar crimes, to act as a deterrent for others. The ABG Shipyard scam has also underscored the need for stronger and independent auditing mechanisms, to ensure the veracity of financial statements. The banks had relied on the company's financial statements to sanction loans, without conducting proper audits. The scam has exposed the loopholes in the audit process and the need for greater scrutiny of financial statements. Scam has had far-reaching consequences for the Indian economy. The scam has affected the reputation of the country's shipbuilding industry and has resulted in the loss of jobs for thousands of workers employed by ABG Shipyard. The scam has also led to a decrease in foreign investments in the Indian economy. The scam has raised concerns about the country's regulatory environment and has caused foreign investors to question the reliability and transparency of India's business practices. Furthermore, the ABG Shipyard scam has highlighted the need for better corporate governance and risk management practices in Indian companies. The lack of proper governance mechanisms had enabled the company's promoters and executives to indulge in fraudulent activities, leading to the loss of money for the banks, investors, and workers. The Indian government has taken several steps to prevent similar frauds in the future. The government has introduced stricter regulations for banks and has set up a special task force to investigate corporate frauds. The government has also introduced measures to strengthen the country's auditing mechanisms and has increased the penalties for white-collar crimes. However, more needs to be done to restore investor confidence and prevent corporate frauds in the future. The government needs to work closely with the banks and the corporate sector to develop better governance and risk management practices. The government needs to promote transparency and accountability in the operations of companies and ensure that the regulatory environment is conducive to the growth of the economy. In conclusion, the ABG Shipyard scam is a wake-up call for India's banking and corporate sectors. The scam has highlighted the need for better governance, transparency, and regulatory oversight in these sectors. The government and the private sector need to work together to prevent similar frauds in the future and to restore investor confidence in the Indian economy.